bio.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. It's Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B. Okay, so I figured out why I couldn't log in the StreamYard. You want me to tell you?
Because you used the wrong email?
No, it wasn't even just the wrong email. I tried to log in with the wrong browser and not on Chrome. So then when I went into Chrome, it let me log in. So boom, just figuring it out. What's up, man? So it's been
a minute.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a minute since I've been here.
Right.
But that's cool. It's so of course we're in March. March is almost over. And it's March Madness, and the tournament started. I want to ask you a question. How long did it take for your bracket to get busted?
Oh man. The first
day?
Yeah, because I believe Kentucky went out the first day. So I had Kentucky in the majority of my brackets going to the Final Four. So it was already busted there. It's pretty much intact other than Kentucky. But the issue is the way it's intact.
Right.
So I think this year, right now, other than really Kentucky, it's been a couple games here and there, but it hasn't been too many crazy like upsets. Like it's been, UNC is still in there, Duke is still in there, Arizona's still in there, Purdue is still in there, Houston is still in there.
So all the number ones are still there. Everybody made it to the second weekend.
Right. So with that, with all the number ones being there, you got Tennessee that's still there. I mean, it's still I think no matter how you did your bracket, there was not a lot of scenarios to where, unless you just went completely left and say, you know what, I don't think any of the number ones or the number twos or the number threes are going to be in there, you're going to arrive at the same point. Now, I'll say this too. Statistically, if you go back and you look at since they've been making brackets, a number one of some sort does win.
Does win what?
The overall tournament.
Really?
The percentages are if you and I want to say it might be like a 70% chance. I'm just quoting from what I heard prior that the chance, it's like a 70% chance that number one is going to win.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a good number to know. So as far as my bracket, it was like, I had Kentucky in the Final Four, and I know at least one bracket. And so let me ask you this, because my bracket has been. I got
a question about Kentucky too.
So my bracket has been trashed pretty much since day one. I don't think. Thank God for our guy Jason and doing this tournament squares, or I wouldn't even care. But I'm just watching the games. I've won more parlays now in this last week than I have. It's been a minute. I've won so many parlays in a row, right? So, but I feel like what makes your bracket? But so because if you lose, I guess a 1, 2, or 3 seed losing in the first weekend, for the most part, is going to ruin your bracket. But if you got like some of the mid, like the 12 and 5s, the 7 and 10s, I don't think those really break your bracket because, more times than not, you're gonna have one of the top 4 seeds in each region in the Final Four.
So they say that's the trick, right? So they say 12 through 5 don't really go too crazy with putting more than them past like the Sweet 16. So if you're going to take a little bit of risk, it's with getting in those, like maybe 15 or 14 seeds.
Right.
You can kind of get them through the first 2 rounds, but when it gets to the Sweet 16, that's when it starts to level out. So let's go back to Kentucky, right?
Oh boy,
John Calipari. So every year I get into trouble with the bracket, and I got a confession, and it might be a whole bunch of people. I don't really, other than Michigan basketball, which Michigan sucked this year.
They were terrible.
Other than if there's a star that is supposed to be a generational talent, I don't really start watching college basketball until January, February time frame. And really, just to be honest, probably the conference championships is when I really, really, really tune in, unless it's a big game. So every year I do the same thing. I start watching the tournaments, then I start listening and reading on all the experts that supposedly watch every game. And they really don't. And they really don't. And every year they sell me a bunch of crap on teams that I just like Baylor. I mean, they swore up and down, hey, this team is so great. They've got all these seniors. And I'm looking, I'm like, man, they getting they but like
Oregon. Yeah.
Or Oregon. This is Oregon's year. They're gonna make it past everybody. You're like, okay. You know, it's just every year I drink the Kool-Aid. And when I look at my bracket, like we're in the league together. It's got to be probably 30 or 40 brackets in there, and I'm like, really ranked 27th?
Yeah. Oh my God, you talking about your bracket?
Yeah. I'm like, I couldn't like figure out like how to all the sports, all the reading, all the
we're here weekly
that I do, and I couldn't figure out how to get past. It's just mind-boggling.
But this is the one year where, like, we just stunk it up. I mean, and I don't know, because let's be honest. A lot of times you get lucky, right? But I'm not saying that it's done yet, because aside from Kentucky, my Final Four, if I'm not mistaken, is still intact. So 3 out of the 4 is still intact. So there's still a way to climb out of that deep dark hole that we in. But
so how many brackets do you have filled out in that one league that we're in? And I consider that the main one. The main one.
I have the max, which I think now is 2. It's 2. Yeah, it used to be 3, but now it's 2. Yeah.
Okay, so
I have the 2. I did 2.
So I filled out 2. One is like, okay, really what I think.
And we did the OTR league,
right? And
everybody did 1 on that one.
So one is like what I really think, like this is my legitimate best estimate. The other one is always like risk. So
and the risk is always better than the legitimate one.
Not in my scenario. Normally your risks are better, but not in my scenario, right? So I mean, now keep in mind the best bracket is the 27th, and it's probably 40 people in there. So the other one's got to be like 37, or 38. But so one bracket I got UConn, which I think that UConn is probably the overwhelming favorite that most people, as long as UConn wins and they don't go out the tournament, that's what's going to bust a lot of brackets.
Yeah.
The other one I've got University of Houston, and last year they kind of burned me a little bit to where I said never again, and then
you can't help yourself.
Yeah, this year I saw what's that team's name? It's not South Dakota, but they beat them in the Big 12. It was Iowa State.
Okay,
they look terrible in that. And for some reason, I say, you know what? Everybody is saying University of Houston, they're the best team. So I picked them in one of my brackets. Then I watched this other game that they had against Texas A&M.
Yeah,
and
they almost lost.
Yeah, they almost lost, and I'm like, what the heck?
Well, you know what's going to end up happening. They're gonna blow out both teams and make it to the Final Four after looking real shaky. You got to get hot at the right time, and it's not easy to win all these games in a row. And so I get that. Houston, they shaky, man. I wouldn't say they shaky. I think that they have a good shot at making it to the Final Four. But let's go back to Kentucky real quick because I don't want to let Calipari off the hook.
Yeah, we got to talk about Calipari.
And so if it was anybody else, they would have been fired already.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
They would have been fired. So Calipari is in a weird space because he gets a lot of guys. He has there's a lot of NBA all NBA guys that play for John Calipari, right? And I think that's what is helping him, and I think he has like a lifetime contract at Kentucky. So I mean he's not going anywhere. And I'm not gonna say I do. Well, I believe that it'll be hard to replace John Calipari, right? But I think that there does need to be some sort of pressure because he's at Kentucky. They have a standard, right, that they're looking for, and that's to win championships. Now, granted, he hasn't won the championship in over a decade.
He was out coached by a coach that hadn't won an
NCAA game.
game and had been coaching for 40 years. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And I said it with a little bit of shade, but I mean, you got Calipari, you got, this guy, he had Oakland, he took that team and he was out coached. And I tell you, looking at everything and watching how everything is kind of playing out in college basketball, you see the reemergence of the big man, right? So typically, let's use your brother, for example.
Okay.
You've got talent, you're going, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can develop at the next stage.
Right.
But you're seeing a plethora of big men stay in college because now they're getting the NIL money, right?
Yep.
So now they can stay there, they can fine-tune their game, they can be taught the basics. And I really think it's changing the landscape of college basketball for the better, to where you're getting this development of these big men that are staying at these programs and they're putting in work. The one and done format, or the one and done way of doing business in college basketball, I don't know if it's going to be the right formula for success, because you've got so many guys that are in the transfer portal now.
That is true.
To where you can almost build your college team through a form of like free agency, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
So you come in, you're one and done. Yeah, you've got the talent, but you really, to me, unless you're a generational talent outside of your and people can just literally see the potential to where, I can work with this person or they're going to get better. You're really not doing much for that program. Now you have outliers that they come in their freshman year, they ball out. But unless you're really there with that program to get adjusted to the college game, to work on your game, to have a summer, to get the conditioning, your body change adjusted to the college level, I don't see where you provide that much value at just being one and done. And I think it shows during the tournaments, because you get those teams of guys that they're playing together for years. They're going overseas and they're playing, and they've got that just continuity of a team to where when they're in these big moments, they're not fumbling.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. I agree with that. I think that it's changing. So it's one of those, the coaches have to adjust. You got to adjust your coaching style. You got to adjust pretty much how you talk to these kids now. You can't, a lot of things change. It's almost like when you had the kids that stayed 4 years, 3-4 years, and then the one and dones came, and it was like, well, now it's a whole new thing, and the coaches had to adjust. Like you're not gonna have these kids for 3 or 4 years anymore. Not like you used to, however many years ago. So now you're going from the one and done, and then in between the one and done and where we're at now of the transport, you have like the G League and those things where those high school kids aren't even going to. I wouldn't even say the G League. I would say you have them going overseas, or they are going to like whatever that G League, Express, whatever. So ultimately you're going to minor league NBA. And so now you go from that to now you have the NIL transfer portal type stage where you have to adjust once more. So that which leads to this question that Phil asks is, has this era of sports changed so much that the game has bypassed some of these legendary coaches? Yes. Yeah. I mean, because it's just like Dean Smith. When Dean Smith, it was like, it's almost like when I see like the older coaches, I always think of Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover, and he was like, "Man, I'm too old for this," right? And that's ultimately what happens because the time changes, and now you have to pretty much the old adage of, "Can you teach an old dog new tricks?" And those coaches ultimately have to learn. There's Nick Saban. Like, you can say what you want. I don't think the game of football has passed Nick Saban by, but I think the business of college football has caused them to say, I'm too old for this. I don't want to deal with this.
You brought up something, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about the amount of scholarships, right, that's available to high school kids. Right. And you look at programs where, okay, I can offer this junior that sat in this prestigious program, they didn't get any playing time, a scholarship to where at least they've got good habits. Right. Or do I offer this freshman coming in? I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know what the potential is going to be. And it's the same thing with basketball to where, okay, this freshman may not be able to play if you've got a transfer that's coming in because they don't have to wait a year anyway. So just the competition level to where you're competing against somebody that they're hungry, they think that this is an open spot, and they're not just going to bow down to a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, and again, unless you're like a general, like it wasn't no transfer or anybody saying anything to Anthony Edwards when he got to Georgia. It was like, oh, that kid can play, and he's probably going to be the number one pick, which he ended up being the number one pick, and he showed it from the jump. This is my team, and this is what we're gonna do. And I mean, he was a dog. I mean, and you look how it kind of like translate. And we talked about this before, how it translate into him being a dog in the league, and he is a leader. Like he got things out of Karl Anthony Towns that Jimmy Butler couldn't. You know what I'm saying? And granted, Karl Anthony Towns is a little bit older now, and Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns are, I guess they're around the same age. Jimmy Butler might be a little older, but he has like an old school mentality where Anthony Edwards may have a new school mentality of leading. And the old school mentality, it just doesn't really work with a bunch of young guys, but it may work with a mixture of old and younger guys. You know what I'm saying?
So I like that scenario that you gave, and you may disagree with this or not. I think with Anthony Edwards, you see where the talent matches the work ethic, right? So he's got like the work ethic, he's got the dog mentality, he's really got the whole complete package. Right. With Jimmy Butler, he's as advertised, right? But I think his hard work has propelled him to the next level, to where he didn't necessarily have all the God-given talent. But I think the dog in him, the work ethic, and the relentlessness to just continue to be great has given. So I think with guys like Jimmy Butler, when they look at guys that have the God-given talent and don't reach their full potential or don't give their all, they really kind of get down on those guys because like, I would kill to have that. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, And it goes, and I mean that's any level, but like in regards to high school, college, I feel like you're starting to see. I don't want to say it's going back to the 3 and 4 year players, right? But you see the big men who what's the kid's name in North Carolina? Baycott.
Yeah, he's dog too.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of guys that root for North Carolina that say, he's okay. And I think he's gonna be all right. Me personally,
I think he's gonna be all right too.
And so and he's been in college for, I think, is he a fifth? Because he has the COVID year. So Edie at Purdue, he might be the number 1 pick, right? I don't, I don't even remember the last time they had a center at number 1. But well, I guess Wemby is considered a center, but he's a little different. He's a whole different animal. But I feel like you're gonna have more college juniors and seniors that are gonna get drafted this year than probably more than we've seen in maybe the last 10 years, right?
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, it's a stigma placed on college players that if you're a junior and a senior, that means that you probably couldn't
Not that
play.
good. Yeah, and I don't think that's the case.
That's the case either.
Because of NIL. Because I'm like, so the thing is, NBA, you're gonna get paid. I mean, if you are a lottery pick in the NBA, more times than not, you're gonna be on that team. You're gonna get a second contract, and you're gonna get paid handsomely. Like, you're gonna get paid, right? But if I could put that off for a year or 2, maybe even 3, depending on my skill level, then why not? And I'm still getting paid in college. I mean, again, your background matters, right? Because some people can't afford to like not go to the NBA and get however many millions you're going to get your first deal.
So let me ask you this: how much do you think the average player star is getting? Are we talking
in
for
college?
NIL? Are we talking $50,000 a year? Are we talking 100?
Well, it depends. So the number one athlete, I believe, was Shador, right? I think Shador was number 1.
Because he got the TB12 NIL.
So he got. I mean, Shador, I think made. I mean, we could look it up, of course, but I know that you had the swimmer, a gymnast. I think she's a gymnast for LSU, but she made like almost $4 million. You have what's the name from LSU that made a pretty penny? Let's look.
But you look at it, right? So so you got the high end, right? So you got the $4 million. But think about if you're a college student and let's say you're on the low end and you're getting 20, 30, let's say 40,000. But you're still staying on campus. You're on scholarship.
None of them are staying on campus.
But let's say you are, right?
Okay. Let's say you're staying on campus.
Let's say you're staying on campus. 40,000 or 30,000 for a college student, and you shouldn't really have any bills. I mean, that's pretty good money to say, hey, you're going to still play, going to practice every day. You don't have to worry about like starving to have the best time of your life. So let me tell you the top 10. Okay.
So number 1 is Bronny with 4.9 million. So it's ironic that they have. So this is their evaluation, right? And it has their followers, right? I'm assuming it's Instagram followers. So Bronny is 4.9 million. He has 13.4 million followers. His situation is a little different than everybody else's. His dad is LeBron James, right? Then you have Shador Sanders. Ironically, his dad is Deion Sanders. He's 4.9. He has 2.4 million followers. Then you have Livy Dunn. That's from LSU. And she makes her valuation is 3.6 million, 12.6 million followers. Then Caitlin Clark is at 3.1 million, 1.5. I guess the followers are because Arch Manning, again, you got famous background. He hasn't played it down. His valuation is $2.8 million. Now, and we all know that Arch Manning doesn't He ain't hurting for no money. And he only has 297,000 followers. But again, he hasn't played it down. So then you look at, I guess, Travis Hunter is 2.4, Quinn Ewers, who is the starting quarter, he's 1.9, Angel Reese is 1.8, Jalen Milroe is 1.6, and Carson Beck is 1.5.
It's ironic. All these names just sound so familiar, but I digress. But
Evan Stewart, 1.4. This is crazy. This
wow.
Yeah, stop playing Madden. But yeah, so again, you got a kid that isn't even in college yet. He'll be in there. Cooper Flagg, $1.1 million valuation. So again, if he wanted to, now he's clearly gonna be a top 5 or so pick unless something crazy happens. We see him as a one and done, right? But if he wanted to, he'll make $1 million his freshman year in college.
Yeah,
imagine making $1 million
I
your
can't
freshman
imagine.
year in college.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm on the low end of where, like, my freshman year, if I could have made 20,000,
you would be the man.
I'd be the
you
man.
would be the man. So if he can make $1.1 million his freshman year, if he was to stay another year, his sophomore, he'll probably triple that, especially if they go on an NCAA run. So ultimately, NIL kind of changes everything. If you want to stay in school a little longer, you can, because you're getting you have some sort of income coming in, and like you said, you can work on your game. You can, because especially at these top schools, you're more than likely you're getting pro coaching anyway. So it's like you can pretty much. The world is yours. You can do what you want.
Yeah,
you can do what you want.
You could get your degree.
Yeah.
You could start setting up your businesses or your empire. You could work on your branding. It's a lot of stuff that you could do with that money. So shout out to college sports for. We've seen our lifetime to where it went from you can't take this money to now they're getting the money.
I'm gonna tell everybody.
But go ahead. You might as well go there.
No, so oh man. So we had this discussion of college players getting paid. Remember, right? And Scott, and look, to this day, I don't know if he was just doing it for the camera, but I really do feel like he believed that, they're getting a scholarship and they're getting a free education and they should be happy with that. And I was on the spectrum of, no, it's so much to playing college sports that you need, like, just getting a free education ain't enough, right?
So what I couldn't see is I didn't understand really how the transfer portal was going to work. And I didn't understand the even distribution of the athletes. Right. Because I'm a firm believer that, football is the most popular sport, but that doesn't discredit what the other student athletes are doing. So I didn't know how they were going to evenly distribute it, but I think for the most part, it seems to be working. Now,
I don't think it should be evenly distributed.
Well, I guess like in hindsight, back then that was my stance, but
because because we were looking at it as if the school was paying the athlete, and that's where it gets real tricky. But if these athletes, if they know the hustle, and it's so much easier now than it was back then because you have social media and you pretty much could create your own brand and at the push of a button on your phone. You literally could create your own brand and because there's so many more millionaires now. I think we just had this conversation earlier, but there's so many more millionaires, like child millionaires, like that are children that are making money just off of YouTube, just off of making videos and things of that nature.
But it goes into like we're just in a microwave society to where if your friends are, like you said, investing in crypto or investing in stocks, or they're doing that sort of thing, and like you said, having their YouTube channel and stuff, you see that success and you want that success for yourself. Now, on transition to something that's kind of going on, I want to get your thoughts. So, have you been following the player for the Toronto Raptors?
Oh man, Jonte something.
Yeah, that's under investigation for. It looks crazy. It looks crazy. All right, so let me.
It's Jonte Porter.
Jonte Porter. Jonte Porter.
Is he your winner of the week?
So, yeah, yes and no. So I don't want to rush to judgment.
Okay.
But we'll go there. He could be my winner of the week, right?
Okay.
So if you don't know about this guy, plays for the Toronto Raptors. So everybody knows that you can gamble. Everybody knows as a player, you can't gamble on your team. So he's on the bench somewhere. We'll say he's like the 9th and 10th guy coming off the Raptors bench. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
So everybody is familiar with prop bets, right? To where like you have a player and it may say, okay, this bench player is going to get 3 points and they're going to get 5 rebounds. Do you bet that they can get this stat? So apparently on 2 different occasions, one in January, he took himself out of the game after playing 4 minutes with an eye injury. And then he didn't return back to the game, which was ironic because I believe it might have had him getting like 3 rebounds and scoring like 4 points. And Vegas noticed, right? Because they said that when that happened,
his over-under for 3-pointers made was 0.5.
Right. And they said when that happened, they had a large sum of individuals trying to bet on this prop bet. And it might have been one of the biggest like payouts. And it was just multiple individuals betting 10,000, 20,000 on it. So it basically caught everybody's eye to where why is everybody betting on this particular person? Then roughly about 2 weeks later, the same instance, same player, same people really basically betting on it and cashing out. So basically Vegas took a loss on that. So this prompted the NBA and some others to do an investigation into this. What are your thoughts?
The fact that you have the same people placing strange bets with this, it looks suspicious immediately. I mean, and these people aren't stupid. I want to let everybody know that these people that are running these sports books are highly intelligent, people. They're not just trying to, they don't mind giving away a couple dollars, but they ain't trying to lose millions,
right?
Off of some crap. And if it looks fishy, they're gonna bring it up. Now let's remember that DraftKings and FanDuel and pick any of them, ESPN, like all of these sports books have relationships and contracts with these associations, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, NHL, MLS. So every single player in all of these sports leagues, their names and stuff are on file, right? They're on file. So the NBA is going to notice, right? So now if you see an unusual type bet, people are going to perk up and say, hold on, wait a minute. Like, all right, we'll let it slide. Because they're going to let it slide at least one time, maybe even twice. They're going to let it slide. And then it's going to be, hold on. And what they do, they went and reached out to the NBA because it doesn't make any sense. So now it's like, we just talked about it. You in the NBA, you gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid. So to let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the total amount won, because I don't know the total amount won, but let's just say the total amount was 900,000. Right? I don't know, but let's just say it was a 900,000 come up. You're in the NBA. The league minimum is like 1 point something. It's like $1 million and something, right? So if you're, and I believe he was drafted, so you already got a guaranteed contract already, at least for those first 4 years. You mean to tell me that $900,000 is worth throwing your career away?
So I want to take a different approach. I want to take a different direction. No, I don't think 900,000 is enough to throw your career away.
Mm-hmm.
Could he possibly be in trouble? Could he be in some sort of gambling debt? And I don't want to speculate, but that's
possible.
What I thought about is what would make a person risk something of that magnitude.
They probably have some, of course they have him by the balls, right?
Yeah,
so they probably threaten his family.
Yeah, he's got to be, and we'll see, right? Because we'll see it play out, and I'm sure the truth will really come out. I can tell you now from the way it looks, this is no coincidence. This is
right.
It looks pretty bad.
And yeah, so ultimately, I think we can assume, because we don't know all the details, but we can assume that that they're going to find out that he was in on it, right? He was in on it. The people that made those bets, he knew them, or he had some sort of relationship with those people that made those crazy bets for him, right? And now it's like you said, is he in trouble with the mob, or has somebody is he like a victim of extortion or something like that? So and in that case you gotta look at him. I mean, you gotta tell the NBA, you gotta tell your team, you tell your agent goes and tells the NBA PA, and which gets to the NBA, because and you can, they'll do it and be quiet about it. Now it's a lot of noise right now. There's a lot of noise about that, mainly because he didn't say anything, and it's they're finding out. Now, if you're in trouble, you have to say, yo, I'm in trouble. I did X, Y, and Z. Now, they're probably gonna let you, do what you have to do, but the NBA is smart. Like the NBA and the NFL, they have a bunch of intelligence people that they hire as well that they got some muscle.
Well, I think you're right, and I think like you look at like how gambling has changed like the whole landscape of sports. We just talked about NIL was done to the college game, but gambling is, I want to tell you, it's not a conversation that I have regarding sports with anybody, and they don't tell me that they don't gamble.
Right. You have people that don't even know what a parlay is, but put a parlay in.
They'll put a
parlay in, and they're like, "What's a parlay?" But I'm just gonna pick all these people just because.
I was thinking, because I guess like the lottery, like it's got like the mega pot where it's like up to like this crazy number, and it got me thinking
50 billion,
million
right
but
now.
But it got me thinking, how many people are supplementing playing the lottery and actually gambling, because you can get the money, you can get the money quicker. You have a little bit more control over the fate of what you bet, if you could really bet. It's even gotten to the point to where most barbershop conversations I'm in revolve around somebody lying about what winnings they got. And I'll tell you, I don't know if this has been the case in your barbershop or but yeah, everybody's hit like a parlay, like this crazy parlay, and like this guy, he told me, he was like, yo, I'm clearing $2,000 a week on the bets, and I'm just kind of like, yo, so I had to hit him. I was like, yo, can I see you like what the parlay was that you hit? But it's the new big thing with everything. So somebody just brought up something that we got to go into, the Otani situation, and I was going to lead into that before I got sidetracked. What are your thoughts about that whole situation?
I'm still trying to gather that information, right? Because I know that. So it went from and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It went from Otani paying. Well, I think they assumed that he was making bets. Then he went but it wasn't Otani. It was his interpreter, and he paid off his debt or whatever. And then it went from he didn't place any bets at all. It was his interpreter that placed all the bets, and he stole money from Otani to place those bets. And Otani paid off the people that he was getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, it was a lot. I will say this: it was like $1.5 million or something crazy.
I thought it was 4.5 million.
Oh, it was 4.5. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm misspoken on the total.
Mm-hmm.
Seems a little fishy. Otani, and I get it, right? He's playing that. I don't really understand.
Oh yeah. But the government don't care about ignorance. And neither does Major League Baseball. But he's their biggest star. He's their biggest star. Oh, we're gonna protect him at all costs.
No English.
I don't know. Oh my God. Gambling going again. I don't know. No. I don't know.
Nah, we see
He knows his pitch right now. He's like, wait, y'all going to defend this guy? He's not even American. Y'all going to defend him? What about me? People else can play. But he can play. P. Rose is like, he's just sitting in the corner.
P. Rose
like,
is just sitting there like, yo, I've been
gambling
gambling on the sport. They blackballed me, and now like,
you got to be kidding me. Oh, now it's his interpreter, huh? How convenient that his interpreter is the one that's still stealing money. All of a sudden, 4.5 million. All of a sudden, now he's stealing money. He didn't realize that $4.5 million was gone. Pete Rose is hot right now. He like, I can't even get in the Hall of Fame. They're about to induct this man into the Hall of Fame.
So let's talk about this, right? So it is an outrageous story.
Yeah.
Most of us probably don't care. No, really. I mean, most people are more intrigued by this guy getting 900,000 and his fate. Should we care more?
I think so. I think that people should care. I don't know if it's gonna it's so he hasn't given us any reason to feel to say that he's lying, right? I mean, he's been, as far as we know, we don't really know him personally. He could be a straight up jerk for all we know, but he hasn't shown that to the public that he's that type of guy and that he's lying. It doesn't look fishy, absolutely, but is it possible that he's telling the truth? Yeah, right. It's possible. His translator could have lied. His translator could have been placing a ton of bets.
So this is what I'm confused about, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does your translator get access to all your account? Was he like translating?
His interpreter, yeah. So he was placing bets with a bookmaker who was under federal investigation. So let's see. It says, I'm very saddened and shocked. Someone whom I trusted has done this. Otani said, seated next to Will Ireton, the team's manager of performance operations, who translated, Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has been telling lies, Otani said. I never bet on sports or have willfully sent money to the bookmaker. So that's what he said. So I guess your question is, how did he get access to that money? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be my question. To where, okay, I believe you, but how did he get access to that much money, and how did you not know that he was betting? If he's your interpreter, how many hours of the day are you guys spending together? You know?
I'm sure they're together.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So if he's always there because he's your interpreter, is he using his insider information to?
Right.
Which, I mean, that could be an opportunity for him, and maybe he didn't know. I don't know. It's a strange story, but yeah, we definitely had to talk about it.
So just for record, betting on baseball games is an automatic ban from the league. Although players and club officials can bet on other sports, however, there is no legal sports betting in California at this moment.
So this other point that somebody just brought up, and I thought it was a good point.
Mm-hmm.
They lose $4.5 million betting. You have to be a terrible gambler. So is it Bruno Mars or is it?
Wait, what? Bruno, you had a battle yesterday, man.
No, but I'm trying to think who it is. It may not be Bruno Mars, but I heard somebody is down big to Vegas.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a rumor going out there, and I don't know if it's Bruno Mars. I've got to look at who it is, and correct me if I'm wrong if somebody has it. They're basically down $50 million.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's true, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
My God.
I think it is Bruno Mars, to where like he's getting, I want to say like $1.5 million a show, but he's down because he's got like some sort of gambling addiction.
If that's the case, I mean, they say it's false.
Okay,
it says Bruno Mars astronomical gambling debt rumor false, says MGM Grand. Thank God.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh my God! And they said it was $50 million. He was owed $50 million in gambling debt. That's crazy. Man, yeah. So I just want to let everybody know I go to MGM often, and I'm up. my win loss is up. Don't matter if it's 500 or 1,000. I'm up.
So I don't want to.
They owe me.
Nah, I don't want to get you too worked up before the end of the show. But
oh God,
you already know where I'm going. I have to ask.
I don't know.
Dak Prescott, $55 million this year. No extension yet.
He's trying to get me worked up.
What are your thoughts? Do you think? I mean, are you good with that?
So hear me out. I'm glad you brought this up. And everybody that's watching right now, listen to me and listen to me very, very clearly. All right. Dak Prescott deserves every dime that he gets. If he was to play and was to get $55 million or $60 million, whatever it is, 59 point, oh no, because they say $4 million. If he was to play for 55.9 or 55.4 million, he deserves every single penny. And this is why. And I'm gonna get to how I feel about everything else. He deserves all of that because he is by far, and it's not even close. Number 2 is not even close. The most scrutinized individual in the National Football League. There's not even a person in second right now. Like, I think second may be Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, and they're miles and miles away. It's not even close. He is by far the most scrutinized player in the NFL. So you can say what he wants. He doesn't do what he does. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do in the playoffs. Well, if you want to be real, you get paid off of the regular season. That's how you get paid. You get paid for the regular season because it is what it is. He plays for the most wealthy franchise. We all know, whatever. Right now, that's one side of the thing. The other side is I have two different theories. I feel like it's possible. Don't know if it's true, but I feel like it's possible that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are working out some sort of legacy deal. And when I say legacy deal, I mean something to what Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City, right? So it wouldn't be 500 million, but it may be 7 years, 350, right? 7 years, 350. 7 years, 350, where there's a bunch of moving parts in those 7 years. Because I think that'll put him at, and maybe 6 years, 300, right? And there's different moving parts. He may get 28 this year, and then next year they could go back and renegotiate, and they're negotiating in good faith, right? Because he's gonna get this money regardless, right? And now they have more money to move around, and they can do anything, and they can somehow make these other moves, right? So that's one thing that I thought about the other day. I was like, well, maybe that and listen, I can tell you this right now. Anything that happens with Dak Prescott's contract right now, anything, whether it's they say they're just gonna let him play it out, they give him a new deal, they restructure, whatever they do, you could forget about the NCAA tournament. Nobody's gonna be talking about any tournament. They're gonna be talking about Dak Prescott and his contract. I guarantee if he gets a deal done tomorrow, we're gonna have to come back and record because we got to beat everybody else, because that's all they're gonna be talking about because the games start back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they're gonna be talking about Dak Prescott's contract.
Okay, so it's safe to say that you're okay with the stance. You're okay with them, working out this year, and you have faith that
I think they're gonna get a deal done. They're gonna get a deal done. I think. Yes, Dak Prescott has all the leverage, but if he wants to be successful, and he wants the team to be successful, they have to do something. They have to come to some sort of agreement for a long-term deal, because you have Micah and you have CD who need to get paid, and they have to pay him. Now, again, I'm not if I'm Dak, please, like y'all don't put me through the ringer. Like I don't mind working it out. But nah, y'all pay me.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah, pay me.
So we got the start of baseball. It's about to kick off.
Wait, baseball ain't started yet?
So it's really weird, right?
It's very weird.
So they got the games that happened in Japan. So
was
those
it Japan?
No, it's Korea.
Yeah. So it's Japan next year.
Yeah, so those are the regular season games, but
Right.
then you still got spring training. Right, so you've got like two different standings.
It's the weirdest crap ever. It was stupid. Like just start the season at that time.
Yeah,
like just start the season. Don't let us play 2 games and then go back to spring training for another 2 weeks or a week or whatever it is. I think the regular season starts Friday or Saturday or this weekend or something like that. So it's just I don't know, man. I feel like baseball is. I thought it was a good move to play in Korea. I think is even better move to play in Japan next year. But you gotta have the Dodgers play next year. I know you might want to switch it up. You got 2 of the biggest Japanese players in the world on the Dodgers. You have to have the Dodgers play in Japan next year. So I like those overseas games, but you can't go from regular season. I mean, from spring training to regular season, back to spring training to go back to regular season again. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So,
not to shift too many gears, but did you see the epic collapse of the Celtics?
I saw the highlights. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. The NBA hasn't really been keeping me entertained, right? I watched some Heat games. I watched Celtics. I've seen the Lakers, Clippers. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is, but something. Maybe as they get closer to the playoffs, I'll be like, that's crazy. But I saw them lose. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, right? And I saw it on TV. I saw the highlights, and then I went back because I was like, "There's no 30 points and you lose," and they didn't have Trae Young. I'm like, "Wait, what?" So they may not. It could just be like something, just whatever, right? It may just be a blip. It's just a long regular season, and I don't think there's cause for concern, right? Because they could go on a 15-game winning streak after that, and nobody's gonna care that they gave up a 30-point lead.
So I think what's missing is, and a lot of people would disagree with me, I don't think football and basketball is covered the same. And I realize that football is the more popular sport, more people are interested, it's got like a bigger fan base. But football figures out how to engage you week after week, even with Dak Prescott, even with that contract. The season, we're getting ready for the draft, we're getting ready for all sort of stuff, but it engages you like year round, to where you will read articles about your team year round. I think with the NBA, they had the in-season tournament was a good move.
Yep.
We talked about the new emerging stars, so I think that they'll be good, like Anthony Edwards and all those guys will be good. But it's got to be something else that's going to draw people in, to where
we've said it already. Rivalries.
It's got to be a rivalry to where we want to tune into this team. We want to see, like, okay, is this team making a playoff push? Maybe it's possibly because they've got the play-in tournaments, to where that's exciting a little bit, but you don't really have like those teams grinding out to get to the 8th spot, to the 6th spot, to where you kind of each game matters, to where it kind of it's watered down, to where it's like, okay, the Lakers, they're missing LeBron, they're in 9th place.
Yeah.
It's no big deal if he's in the play-in tournament. Maybe he'll have them ready to where maybe that's what's really missing.
I mean, they went from the play-in tournament to the conference finals. That's so, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing. One, you got to see LeBron, but I think that if they really want, I don't want to tell them to get rid of the play-in tournament, but it got to be something else, because you got, right now you got the Warriors and the Lakers, who have Steph and LeBron, so it kind of makes it interesting. But why do you have Steph and LeBron, like, they're like fighting to play a 1-game tournament game, and it's just weird. It's just odd, because what if they didn't have the play-in tournament, they would be screwed. they would they'd be screwed, because it's gonna be hard for them. I mean, and they could get to 6, right? They could get to 6, but they just showed last year that we could be in, because they were what, 7th?
No.
Or they were 9th? No.
They might have been like 7th, because they couldn't get to the 6th spot. I'll have to look at it, but I think so. I guess the intent was to make teams fight to not be in that 7th or 8th spot, but it's almost like teams are comfortable being in the 7th through 10th spot, because to your point, if you're good enough in any team sport, if you get hot at the right time, or you feel like, hey, we get healthy, we've got a shot at that, you're not sweating being in the 8th spot. You're not sweating being in the 9th spot. Yeah.
So that's so real quick before we get out of here, it's a couple things, right? NFL. So they got rid of the hip drop tackle. So there's a few things. They got rid of the hip drop tackle. They have a 1-year trial for the kickoff, and they said the most important thing. They said, screw the NBA. We're gonna play on Christmas, even though Christmas is on a Wednesday. We're still gonna play on Christmas. Y'all don't got y'all don't have Christmas no more. It's ours. We're taking it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So with that being said, the hip drop tackle. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was a good move.
I agree. I do agree. I agree, and I'm a defensive guy, but I agree because I personally think a hip drop tackle is worse than a horse collar. I think
it's almost equivalent to going to somebody's knees. It's bad. So I was good with that. I'll be honest with you, the kickoff and the notifying of an onside kick and all that, I really didn't understand the rationale for that. So it's something about you can't run down the field until so it's no fair catch, and you can't run down the field until the receiving team actually catches the ball.
It's just like the XFL. It's the XFL kickoff. So here's my thing. I would rather see the XFL kickoff in the XFL. I don't want to see that in the NFL.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, we'll see how it works because you always adjust. It's a 1-year trial. I'm almost certain that it was fun. It was cool to see when we was watching XFL. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see it. But I mean, it's here. And what about Christmas?
It's grind. It's grind, but I understand. I mean, so this year, I felt like Christmas was too much. As far as I'm used to watching the game start at 12 o'clock. They go on to, however late everybody's home. It was just too much trying to balance watching football and basketball this year.
Yeah, I think that it was. I don't think they should have a full. I don't think they should have 3 games. Maybe NBA has 5 games, so I think if you have 2 games, I think that's fine.
So what if the NBA, because they're not going to win this battle with football, right? They can put whatever they want on Christmas, but football will always reign supreme. What if they took Christmas Eve or something like that?
NFL's gonna take that too. They're gonna take that too. I see what you're saying, but Christmas is such a big deal for the NBA that they can't do that. They have to play their games on Christmas, and I think that as the stars, as the younger stars start to get I guess more known and become bigger stars. Because Wemby's going to play on Christmas next year, and Anthony Edwards is going to be on Christmas, and SGA is probably going to be on Christmas. Steph is still going to be on Christmas. LeBron, so Giannis, the Celtics. So you'll still have the people that you need to be there. So
all right. So let me ask you this.
Okay,
I got the 7th pick in my upcoming fantasy draft in 7 minutes.
Well, we'll be off the air by then.
I got that. With the 7th pick, would you take Ohtani as a batter?
He's not pitching this year.
Yeah, he's only. So I'm leaning.
How many people are in the league?
12. So I'm leaning toward.
I would take Ohtani.
You take Ohtani?
I would take Ohtani.
You take Ohtani over Soto?
Yes. I hope. Well, it depends. Is he going to get suspended for gambling?
Possibly.
Yeah, right. He's not getting suspended. Go with the best player in the league, man. Don't overthink it. Good luck on your draft tonight.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm going to have an opportunity. He's sitting there at 12. I'm not high on Trea Turner. Freddie Freeman.
I was just about to say Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman had a good. So that's actually who they want me to pick. But it's a plethora of first basemen. There's a lot of good first basemen out there. So I'll be able to drop a first baseman. We'll see. Wish me luck.
That man is in his nerd mode now. Yeah.
Let me tell you, this draft, it's going to take all of till 11:30.
Oh yeah. I'm getting up out of here.
It's 12.
He ain't got to. I'm not going to be here with
12 people. Not to mention, we've got 12 pitchers. Yo, it's insane. So
yeah, that's why I'm listen. I try to stay out of baseball drafts now, man. Or baseball fantasy, because it's just I need Ohio State to come somehow win this game. But all right, man, we getting up out of here. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
And yeah, we're done. Bye.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.